Hello and welcome back to the FPL Tom YouTube channel. In today's video we're going to be covering the best transfer targets ahead of an exciting game week 4. In the video we're going to cover players you should be looking to buy, players you should be looking to sell, some players you should be looking to avoid, and at the end we'll go through some cheeky differentials who could massively help you boost your rank this game week. If you do enjoy the content that you see on the channel, please like, comment and subscribe, as we are trying to hit 500 subs before the end of August, and if we could do that it would honestly be absolutely amazing. But ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let's dive into some transfer targets for game week 4. And my first transfer target for game week 4, of course, it was going to be this man. It is Perisic from Spurs. Had a wonderful, wonderful game against, I don't remember who they played. Great start. And to start us off, we have got Ivan Perisic, And to start off today's video, our first buy is Ivan Perisic. A wonderful, wonderful performance against Wolverhampton Wanderers that he capitalised on with an assist as well. It's kind of the Perisic performance we've all been expecting since he signed. The whole FPL community, has been expecting this kind of thing from him, and he's finally delivered. First game he starts, of course he gets an assist. Of course he's on corners as well, making him a wonderfully appetising option. I think a lot of people who have the 5 million defenders, obviously your Cash, your Trippiers, obviously if you have a 4.5 as well, you may be looking to bump one of them up, and I do believe Perisic would be a fantastic option. Really good fixtures coming up: Nottingham Forest, West Ham, Fulham, and then game week 7 they do take on Manchester City, but game week 8 Leicester at home. And you know, the way the Spurs are playing, they could definitely give Manchester City a run for their money. Obviously, one of the major concerns with Perisic is kind of his minutes and the fact that he doesn't quite complete every single game. Didn't against Wolverhampton Wanderers, and I doubt he'll ever complete a 90 minutes in the Premier League, especially with the depth and the quality that Spurs have within that wing-back position, so that is something to bear in mind. However, his attacking returns could massively, massively outweigh kind of his expected minutes, which is what we want to see from one of our defenders. Obviously took a slight price decrease as well last week, making him that 0.1 million extra cheaper. I imagine he'll be back up to 5.5. Ivan Perisic, my first buy. Really good fixtures. It's good to see him actually performing as well in the Premier League, so he is my first buy for today's video. And my second buy is a man I've included in the past 2 transfer targets videos. It is Ivan Toney. Honestly, what a wonderful footballer. I brought him into my team last week, and I'm honestly so pleased I did. Had a wonderful, wonderful performance against Fulham. Should have potentially got himself a hat-trick. Had 2 goals ruled out for being offside. But he just looks so good going forward, as do Brentford. Didn't look amazing in the first half against Fulham, but did come back into the game and almost got themselves a point if it wasn't for Mitrovic's late winner, But Ivan Toney, he's just a different beast within that side. 2 goals, 2 assists, and 25 points, currently making him the second highest point scorer within the game. Amazing fixtures coming up for Brentford as well: Everton, Crystal Palace, Leeds, Southampton, Arsenal, and Bournemouth. That Everton game in game week 4 is absolutely it's just making me a little bit wet, to be honest. I'm not going to lie, because Everton look appalling at the back. They're conceding chances from absolutely everywhere. Brentford look very good going forward, as does Ivan Toney, and his price is going to increase tonight to probably 7.2. So if you are looking to get him, I potentially would suggest getting on him soon. He's also on penalties as well, which is a massive plus for us. Not had one this season, but honestly, he's so good. He's so good to watch as well. I think if you are looking for that third forward option, then Ivan Toney is the man. If you, like me, you had Saka in midfield, or you've got another 8 million kind of midfielder who's not living up to the bill, Mason Mount's another one, it might be worth switching to Ivan Toney, because he is absolutely killing it at the moment, and Brentford's fixtures are absolutely amazing up till a kind of game week 8, game week 9, when we will be looking to wildcard anyway. So that's my second buy. Let's move on to some sells. And my first sell for today's video is a man I do have within my own team. It is Bukayo Saka, who has already taken a price decrease down to 7.9 from his original price at 8 million. It's been very disappointing as a Saka owner, especially when Martinelli, Odegaard, Jesus, all the other forward players have been returning apart from Saka. So far this season, 0 goals, 1 assist and only 11 FPL points collated. His assist as well did come from a very dodgy own goal, so to give him that assist is very, very generous from FPL indeed. I think the big part for me that is really, really difficult with Saka is the good fixtures that Arsenal do have till around game week 8, which is where I will be looking to wildcard myself. Fulham, Aston Villa, Man United, Everton and Brentford, some really, really tasty fixtures. But when you have Martinelli looking better at kind of 1.5 million cheaper, it makes owning Saka so hard. So I think the clever thing to do will be downgrade to Martinelli. But if you do have other issues within your team, I do think they probably need addressing first, as the fixtures are nice and potentially Saka could return. He's just not looked on it within the first 3 game weeks. Hopefully his form can pick up. Hopefully he can get back to the best, because he is honestly one of my favourite footballers within the Premier League. But this year, he's just not been there, he's just not been there, and it's been massively frustrating to own him, especially when a cheaper option within the same team is doing so well. So I think that would be the smart move, just drop down to Martinelli. But yeah, that is my first sell. It is Saka. I do believe you should be looking to sell him unless you have some other major issues within your side. But let's move on to the second sell of today's video. And my next sell is Danny Ward. Now, Danny Ward is only a sell if you have both Leicester goalkeepers, like I do. Yeah, the 4 million kind of 2 goalkeepers, it was a nice experiment while it lasted. But it's just not worth it. Honestly, it's just not worth it. Leicester have looked absolutely dreadful at the back this season. Danny Ward's been at fault for 2 goals as well. Really, really not helping himself out there. He's got 3 one-pointer performances as well, which is absolutely just disappointing. Leicester have some really difficult fixtures coming up as well. Chelsea away, Manchester United at home, and Brighton. In game week 8 as well, they play Tottenham. So really, really difficult fixtures. You don't expect Leicester to be getting many clean sheets out of that. Another thing as well with me, I think something I potentially might be looking to do is the likes of Sanchez and David Raya at that 0.5 million extra. They've got really good fixtures and have got some really good defensive data, especially Brighton. My God, they have been like one of the best defences for expected goals conceded. I'd love to see the stats after the City game today. The City game's just finished when I'm recording this, so I will take a look at that. But they could even be top for expected goals conceded and expected clean sheets, which is absolutely impressive from Graham Potter's side. So I do believe it's worth spending that extra 0.5 million to get a better player, better goalkeeper in, because I'm losing so many points from it. I know there's a lot of other people who have gone for this double kind of Leicester up goalkeeper. It was a nice idea. If it had worked, then we'd honestly be absolutely buzzing. But the fact that Danny Ward's leading errors 2 goals, Leicester look very poor at the back. Leicester in general look very poor as well. So it is very discouraging kind of from an FPL standpoint, and I'd definitely be considering selling him and moving him up if you do have him in your team. But that was the sells. Let's move on to some avoids for today's video. And my first avoid is a man who's been in my videos before. It is Martin Odegaard, obviously off the back of a wonderful performance against Bournemouth where he did score 2 goals. Absolutely just amazing stuff from him. But yeah, that's his first ever professional brace, so I wouldn't be expecting that to ever happen again. Obviously, very similar with Saka, the fixtures are good, so if you do have him in your team, probably worth keeping him, or maybe looking to switch on to Martinelli if you don't have any other major concerns within your team. I'm just a little bit worried that people will have seen that he got 16 points this week, 2 goals, and will just jump on him because they can see that Arsenal have really good fixtures as well. I do think he's a wonderful footballer, but his game isn't all about goals and assists. As we can see from his expected data as well, 0.76 expected goals and 0.06 for expected assists. Very, very poor on the old underlying data as well. It's an easy avoid for me. If you are looking to get that extra Arsenal player within your side, obviously if you've got Jesus and maybe like Martinelli, don't go for another midfielder. Maybe look at the defenders, because there's some real value at the back there with Ben White and Saliba as well. So yeah, really easy avoid this one. Martin Odegaard, he's never ever going to get a brace again. If he does, then you know what, I'll just eat a hat, because at that point, it's just getting ridiculous, isn't it? He's never going to do that again, and it's an easy avoid. So please do not buy Martin Odegaard this game week. But let's move on to my second avoid, which is even more controversial than this one. And my second avoid for today's video is Alexander Mitrovic, a man on fire, 3 goals within his first 3 games, and a missed penalty as well to go with that. 18 points scored and valued at 6.6 million. Another wonderful performance from Mitrovic against Brentford. Easily could have got himself a hat-trick, and I do think he will be a fantastic option within FPL when the fixtures are right. After game week 8, it does look like their fixtures turn, and he could be a wonderful option. But at the moment, I just don't think he's going to be an option, especially when you've got players like Ivan Toney, who are at a very similar price point and have better fixtures. I just don't think it's worth bringing in Mitrovic to your team, mainly down to the fixtures. Arsenal away. Arsenal currently unbeaten as well and have only conceded 2 goals this season. Brighton, like we said, we spoke about their amazing defence and kind of all their expected data around that defence. Really good. I think Mitrovic and Fulham will struggle in general. And then after that, Tottenham and Chelsea. So really tough next 4. It's really easy to avoid Mitrovic, especially when you've got a player like Toney, who has good fixtures throughout this period and is a very similar player. Very good goal scorer on penalties as well. I think then when game week 8, game week 9 comes around and Fulham's fixtures do turn, you could easily move Toney on for Mitrovic. I think that's the plan that I'm going to go for if Mitrovic can kind of keep up this form. I do think he will score goals within these fixtures as well. Like, he is a wonderful footballer, but if I'm looking for consistent returns, I'm more confident in Ivan Toney than Mitrovic over the next kind of 3 to 4 game weeks, just down to them fixtures. Really difficult. So don't fall into the trap of buying Mitrovic because you've seen him do well and get points. Look at the fixtures. Look at the tough games that he's got coming up. Yes, he potentially may score in 1 or 2 of them, but I do believe Toney will massively outscore him. So go for Toney if you are looking for a forward within kind of this price range. But that was my second avoid. Let's move on to some cheeky differentials. They're very tasty this week. And moving on to our differentials, we start with one of my favourite Premier League footballers at the moment. It is Jack Harrison. Went to a Leeds friendly against Cagliari in pre-season and honestly just fell in love with this man. His ball control, absolutely everything. His willingness to kind of run and just honestly absolutely in love with Jack Harrison. He's been absolutely fantastic as well at the start of this season. 1 goal, 3 assists, 21 points created, and Leeds fixtures are taking a turn for the better. Brighton, Everton, Brentford, Nottingham Forest, Manchester United and Aston Villa. Some really tasty fixtures in there. Leeds going to be on a massive high as well after pummeling Chelsea, putting a really good performance. They're going to make it very difficult for teams this year. It looks like Leeds are back to the old, and if you can't afford Rodrigo, I reckon Harrison will be the better pick, mainly down to the fact that he's on corners as well, on set pieces as well, sharing them with Aronson, so potentially going to get even more assists as the season goes on. Real big differential as well at 1.5%. A lot of people have jumped on Rodrigo, who last week I did suggest to avoid because I didn't expect him to score against Chelsea, but if you can't afford Rodrigo, Jack Harrison's your man. If you can, I'd probably say go Rodrigo. He's in form, isn't he? And he's absolutely killing it at the moment. And now with Leeds' fixtures turning for the better, it's definitely time to be looking at the Leeds assets and looking at a player we could potentially jump on. My differential is Jack Harrison, but I do think Rodrigo or Aronson would also make fantastic options. Let me know down in the comments below, are you potentially looking at bringing in any Leeds players for the upcoming game week? But without further ado, let's move on to our final player of today's video. And my final player for today's video is everybody's favourite Brighton player if you were on FPL Twitter this week. It is Pascal Gross. 2 goals, 1 assist, 24 points collated over the first 3 game weeks. Obviously had a wonderful performance against Manchester United. Followed that up in game week 2 and then got an assist in game week 3 against West Ham. Brighton are playing some wonderful football at the moment, and Pascal Gross is at the heart of it. If you are looking for potential replacements for Pedro Neto, Leon Bailey, any of the £6 million midfielders, maybe if you've got Rashford, I know a lot of people have got him kicking about in the teams, then Pascal Gross could be the man. Brighton have some honestly just wonderful fixtures coming up. Leeds, Fulham, Leicester, Bournemouth, Crystal Palace, and then in game week 9 they do take Liverpool and their fixtures turn, but at that point I will be wildcarding. I imagine a lot of other people will be wildcarding around that point as well. Really, really good start to the season for him, putting up some wonderful expected data as well, and with the form that Brighton are in, he could honestly absolutely explode. Only at 7.9% as well, so kind of a little bit more on the radar than most differentials that I usually cover in this video, but there wasn't too many players kind of standing out. And at his price point as well, I do think there is a reason that ownership is quite high. People are quite frustrated with Neto, Bailey, all these other kind of just trash players that people have been kicking about with. Pascal Gross has shown that little bit of quality and, you know, kind of got some points to kind of back that up as well. So I think that's why a lot of people are jumping on him. I'm recommending him as well as my second differential. If you did enjoy any of the players that I included in today's video, let me know down in the comments below. Like the video as well, as it massively helps out the channel. And like I said at the start, we are trying to hit 500 subs before the end of August. It's approaching the end of August. I think we're about 50 away. So if we could do that, honestly, massively appreciated. If you do need any help with your fantasy teams as well, contact me on Twitter at FPLTom_, and down in the comments below as I reply to all comments with your team kind of help and suggestions. So yeah, let me know down in there. I hope you have a good game week as well, and thank you very much for watching the video.